Welcome back, gang. It's Delta from Delta's Gaming. In this video, we're covering some tanking tips for the Dark Brotherhood. With the trait changes, some new gear, some old gear coming back, I want to give you some ideas about skills, gear, champion points, and how you can still be effective in the Dark Brotherhood tanking. By the way, it's a whole lot more fun with guard, a lot more active, a lot cool skills to use. I'm loving tanking, and here's why. So I'm super excited about the tanking changes, specifically guard, as you see this huge laser beam on me guarding my banker here. It's absolutely so much more fun to tank. I'm going to explain to you a bit reasons why. So first off, I want to answer a concern about the champion point changes. For those that don't know, champion points change. So reduced block cost used to be in the warrior tree here. You could stack up to 25%, but now it's in the green tree, which goes along with your other resource generations, reduced block cost. So you have to kind of pick and choose, and a lot of people were getting upset about that. Well, there's a way around this now, and that's the sturdy trait. Sturdy reduced block cost by 4%. You can put this on everything, including your shield, up to 8 pieces possibly. Now, for whatever reason, I got really lucky on my heavy armor, so I got sturdy on the helm, sturdy on the shoulders yesterday, and then I'm doing another new different set I'm going to explain in a little bit. But just let me tell you that the sturdy block cost reduction is a huge difference. I don't even spec any points into that. I never run out of stamina. Another reason I don't run out of stamina that is finally live here is the armor changes. If we go to the armor change here and we go to Constitution, I get 930 magic and stamina back roughly every 40 seconds. Now I'm wearing 5 pieces of heavy, 2 light, and I'm casting a lot more now. I'll explain that in the back end of this video. But just so you realize here that the more heavy armor you get, the more you're going to have back. Okay, so a massive resource boost set that I've been talking about for a while now. Black Rose, where'd you go, Black Rose? Right here. I'm getting about 2,000 resources back every 4 seconds, making it really, really hard to run out of resources. Now, I'm using Baharah's Curse, which I'll get to in a little bit, as a different 5-piece. But guys, if you're really concerned about all this block reduction cost, just do the sturdy trait. It really makes a difference. So let me go grab a bunch of mobs and show you just what this looks like. We're going to jump in here and take a few mobs just to show you kind of the new changes. Now this isn't my published build, but I'm still working on it just about finished. So let's give you an idea of what this looks like. So I'm tanking here, just tank a bunch of these guys. And check out my stamina. So I'm not regenerating any stamina, but I'm not losing a whole lot with that sturdy trait, you see? A lot of guys beating on me, and it's not that big of a deal. I even stood in red like a noob. So you have a few different ways to get back stamina while blocking. Obviously, a Templar can give you blazing shield, spears, can do repentances, you can use a potion. As a Dragonknight, you can use an ultimate. Templars can self-repent. Nightblades can get back resources very easily with siphoning attacks. Sorcs have dark conversion. So as you can see, it's not that big of a deal. Even just standing here, I can spam igneous shields, give myself some more resources. I pretty much can tank indefinitely, especially if I rotate between my ultimates and my potions. So resource management hasn't changed so much, but I found another way to self-heal myself without using a skill to free up some things. So now I'm trying to learn Vetmaw. I had tanked it, and boy did I suck at it. So I learned a few things that will be applicable for you guys if you're looking to do that, or kind of what the meta is headed towards. First of all, it's all about the Warhorn. So my Tava 3 tank is still very, very good. But what I think a lot of Dragonknight tanks don't use that is a mandatory thing, especially in Vetmaw, is Deep Breath. And the reason why, it interrupts those casters. An AoE interrupt, especially for the second boss in Vetmaw, is imperative. So what I did is I dropped Vigor for this thing and went with a more magic-based build. So on my jewelry, I only do 1 reduced block cost and the rest 30 trade. That right there, as you saw just in the previous video, allows me to basically tank indefinitely and not run out of stamina. And then I go with Baharah's Curse, Robust Magic Recovery. Now I go with Magic Recovery instead of Reduced Cost, just because I'm not spam casting stuff, and Gil told me the math, it made sense. I don't know, I'm not going to repeat it. But if you're spam casting things, reduced cost is better. If you're just basically holding block and casting infrequently, magic recovery is better. So you can see here on my guy, once I use a potion, where my potion's at? We go to my recovery, and I'm almost at 2k at an orc, on an orc. Stamina recovery isn't a big concern because, well, you're holding block most of the time. So I'm getting back stamina with shards, repentance, or ultimates and potions. So I don't really worry about that. I go more heavily into magic recovery. Also, I have a much higher stamina pool. That way, when the fights are done, I can recharge my stamina. So I have a much bigger cap when I use Battle Roar to get pushed back all the way to the top. I have a little bit high on health. I would probably change that to optimize this before I publish it to get a little more magic. But around 25k is pretty much all you need, and that's including taking Vet Maul. Now, Sanctum Ophidia has changed, and it's now at 160 CP. So those are the hardest hitting mobs in there. So we'll probably have to go back to Armor Master for that. Okay, so why did I go with Baharah's Curse? Well, I undervalued this. Gil was talking about it, and I tried it out, and I absolutely love it. What it allows me to do is basically not have a self-heal and swap in Deep Breath instead of Vigor, so I can have some more utility. So what it does is, basically, when you cast this, it's based on you casting stuff. And the healing done with this and the damage is staggering. In some of these fights, I'm getting 20,000 AoE DPS. I'm almost doing 25% of the damage that team does as a tank in 5 heavy armor. It's absolutely fantastic. So the self-healing that Baharah's Curse does is based on how many enemies are in that little rune. It snares them, stuns them, and the damage you deal gives you back the healing done. More enemies in location, the better. More snares, the better. So if we go these packs here, you see how that snared them right off the bat? 2 enemies were in there, now 3. Look how much healing that is. That is an incredible amount of self-healing. So let's see if we can't get it to proc it. Remember, it's procced off of your abilities, not taking damage or anything else like that. Let's get hit a few times. Spam some talons, and bang. Baharah's, look at that. That's just healing the crap out of me. So it allows me to free up a space that I don't need for self-healing, giving me more utility. Now, space on your bar is at a premium right now due to Guard. Guard changed, one of the most exciting abilities I got. And it doesn't regain stamina anymore. You can regenerate stamina while using it. The only problem is you have to double bar it. So I changed a couple of things in my build, still testing it for us. I dropped defensive stance. Now, block more damage, reduce block cost, but I still don't feel any basically change with dropping this and the champion point change with the sturdy traits. So that allows me to free up a spot. On my back bar, I dropped my armor buff. Now, in certain fights, you're definitely going to need it. 4-man, just pulling trash mobs, not really. So what I do is I swap this in, depending on if I'm going up against a beefy boss, and I'll put it usually with igneous weapons, or if I don't need a range taunt here. Because pretty much everything else you're going to need. But look at what this does. It's so fantastic. Critical force. What I like to do is guard my highest damage DPS. So typically a melee stamina build is going to be in the middle of the fight taking a lot of damage. You're going to have to recast this if it breaks. So a general rule of thumb here, like when I'm using this, learning it now, doing dungeons like all the time. Let's get my banker out. If you look at my bottom right tab on my FTC, you can see there's 2 Stalwart Gallart images. And once he gets out of range, it'll break and those 2 images will go away. But he is a troll banker. So look, see how those 2 images go away and it breaks. The image is kind of buggy right now, so sometimes it'll show the effect when it's not there. But look at my 4 key. You see how it has that X? That's how you know if it's up. When the X drops off your key, usually that means the target went out of range. So you're going to have to kind of get comfortable with your other DPS partner or healer or whatever, but it allows probably some really cool gameplay that we could probably duo vet ICP and some of these other dungeons with this type of setup. Another thing that's really advantageous for us in our build is every damage done by guard will proc our blood spawn. So blood spawn taking damage has a 6% cooldown, but it gives you 15 ultimate. So you're really keeping that up constantly with guard. So I just love using it. It's like giving someone a permanent trap beast. It's so advantageous for your group, especially them stam melee builds after YOLO in here. So some other things you're going to need to do to optimize your character's build and also your group for PvE is based on like your enchants. So right here you see this decisive trait, this change. When you gain ultimate, you have a 17% chance to gain an additional ultimate. The way I use this is on my back bar, and when I say back bar, it's mainly like my buffs. So what happens is, as a Dragonknight, when I go back to my back bar, I have my Mountain's Blessing ability, which is igneous weapons. So every time I fire that up, I'm getting ultimate right there. I can also get ultimate from Tava's Blessing, from Blood Spawn, and for my normal abilities, holding block and attacking. So you're going to have a lot of chances to proc that. So I like the decisive trait on the back bar. The front bar, I'm using this Crusher enchant with Infuse. Now you notice I'm not using defending, so my stats and my armor are going to be a lot weaker. But like I said, in Vet Maul, it's not so much about taking a huge cleave damage as it's so much about using utility and getting that boss debuffed as best you can. So what this allows us to do is use Taunt, Puncture. It's a weapon skill ability, Pierced Armor. So Pierced Armor is going to give a major fractile. It's also going to give that 2k, almost 2k spell resistant armor just for using it. You're looking at 7,000 armor and spell resistance for your taunt. Now, this buff lasts 12 seconds, the taunt, but the enchant is only going to last 6 seconds. So you're going to need to use it quite often to proc that, or a weapon attack. But the nice thing about this setup is you don't have to weapon attack if you're in oh crap mode. You don't have to drop your block. All you can do is simply taunt. So 5 seconds with a 1 second cooldown, you're going to keep this up as best you can. And oh boy, is it powerful. Your DPS will love you using this. On my other bar, my decisive bar, I'm also going to want to have, sometimes you can play with the enchant, but minor vulnerability would be really nice. It's a poison. Right now, it's not lasting that long, so I'm kind of tinkering around with the recipes and seeing what it is. But it gives 8% damage. 8% damage done more to the target. So this tank, T3, is even gone further in terms of buffing and supporting other allies. Now you can do this on any class. It does not have to be a Dragonknight. Another skill change you're going to want to know about as far as Dragonknight tanking is Engulfing Flames is not as effective as it had been in the past, considering that not everyone's going to be using Shooting Star anymore, because a lot of builds benefit from the Fighters Guild. Dawnbreaker of Smiting actually can outperform Shooting Star in some instances. So a lot of builds are switching to that. Also, the bow went from fire damage to physical. So guess what? Not going to be as effective either. And also, I'm going to keep that more for tanking just in case, because Elemental Blockade, Force Pull, some of them other skills that magic users are definitely going to see a buff from this. And the other ability that you use on a Stam DK, Noxious Breath, I already get that major debuff, the major fractile from Pierced Armor, along with the spell resistance, so I'm not going to change that. All you Templar tanks out there, you should really consider running Power of the Light for the extra group utility that provides. Group utility? Yes. You're pretty much the only class that can give minor breach and minor fracture. So right here, physical and spell resistance 1300. Now you pair that up with the trick we learned earlier for 2k resist, along with Pierced Armor for another 5k or 5200, you're looking at an absolute juggernaut stripping armor tank. You can also pair that with the Alkosh set, which is from the new trial, as your 5-piece jewelry, and get another a bonus to physical damage resistance. So you can do like a whole armor stripping, either Stamplar or a tank build that will really help out your fellow DPS. Now, Magic Nightblade tanks, you have a super powerful benefit with Sap Essence, Siphoning Attacks, and Funnel Health. If you keep these 3 buffs up, the amount of healing that you can do for your party is staggering, and the damage you can do. Check out Gil's Bloodletter video. It's really, really powerful. So Nightblade tanks get a lot of crap, but they're very good. Right now, you don't have to have a seal slotted. You can just use a Shadow ability to proc your major wards and resistance. The thing that you have strength in is resource management and healing other players. As far as the debuffs and so forth, you're probably looking at a DK tank to be better at that, or a Templar. Now on to the Sorc tank. No, it's not the most effective tank, but it's not the worst either. I mean, you can still do pretty good things with it. You have Dark Heal, so you can gain resources, even though it does have a 1-second cast time. And Encase, which is an awesome immobilization, it sometimes is better than Talons, though it doesn't come with the synergy, which is very, very useful. You also have some pets that can give some utility to you in the group, considering self-healing or healing other allies, so it's kind of interesting. Also, you have Conjure War here to shield yourself, even as a tank, not only just as a magic user. Though if I were going to tank, I would still consider Dragonknight and Magic Nightblade the top tier. So what's new? Well, the Dark Brotherhood is amazing. There's a lot of stuff to collect. It removed veteran ranks, and I've never seen more people back into ESO. I'm really enjoying it, so tanking so far is amazing. As you can see, I got my Morakton Hawkeye back, so I'm still testing a couple different sets with this. Good old Inferno Nuggets using Twiceborn Star, helping me out tank. Magic Templar is doing absolutely amazing with Ritual Retribution. fixing my Magic Sorc, see if I can't get his Scathing Mage and Rhinoth combo to do good. Stamp Templar using Ravager of Hunting's Rage is absolutely freakish. Also using Scoria is absolutely so much fun. Octavian here, my Magic Nightblade. I'm doing some Sap Tank with Leeching, and I'm also doing a DPS build, very, very similar to what we had before, just minus Proxy Debt. And finally, Stam Sorc, Donald Crunk. He's a big-time PvPer, and I'm really liking the changes so far, minus Crit Surge. Other than that, gang, that's our first video on the Dark Brotherhood. A lot more to come. I'm going to be playing my booty off today. A whole different bunch of classes, whole veteran ICP farm all day. And so hopefully we can get some polished builds out to you. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, rate, and share.